You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Hey, it's Ian Ballinger from the Freestater here on the Lanterns Radio Network. Now, most people listen to the show when it goes up every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time on Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, or even on your iPhone podcast app. But you can also listen to the show over at lanterns.buzz. That's lanterns.buzz, where the show plays on replay every weekday and weekend at 11 a.m. Central Time. Every day throughout the week, you can listen to the replay of the show on the lanterns.buzz radio stream. Aha! 11 a.m. Central Time and 3 a.m. in the morning. Just fantastic times. If you're driving out late, you can listen to the show. And if you're waking up in the morning, driving to work, going to lunch during work, whatever, show's available for you to listen to right there on replay. That's lanterns.buzz. And while you're over there, I encourage you to check out some of the other great shows that the Lanterns Radio Network has to offer. You've got Bells of Liberty, Todd Huff Radio, Battle for Freedom, Patriot Politics, Defenders of American Exceptionalism, The HoloNet, Fires of Liberty, Battlefield Live, The Conservative Syndicate, and many other special programs. You may have heard back during CPAC even, they did a huge live stream, continuous coverage of CPAC. Go to lanterns.buzz for great content. We're here to fix the machine. Lanterns.buzz. The world's gone mad. This is the Freestater. True conservatism, constitutionalism, may be in the minority now when it comes to the dialogue on political affiliation, but that doesn't mean we stop fighting. We fight for principles over party, values over politicians, and truth over feelings. You've entered a state of freedom. This is the Freestater. It's a sad day today, as today marks the end of an era. We've talked extensively on this show about the 9/12 Project. For those of you who are new to the program or don't remember, the 9/12 Project was a group created by American television host and radio personality, film producer, etc., entrepreneur Glenn Beck. It was marched in late 2009 on an episode of Glenn Beck on Fox News. And after, a website was launched to promote the group, and several local 9/12 groups formed soon after in cities throughout the United States. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I remember an episode that they did over on Fox News where video streams of hundreds of people gathering in bars across the nation, gathering in town halls across the nation, just to watch this specific program, just to see the launch of the 912 Project. And what's the 912 Project? It is some of this is according to Wikipedia, but they sourced it pretty well. It was sourced through Yahoo News. Very similar to the Tea Party movement. In fact, it was kind of like, it was part of the Tea Party movement. The name 9/12 symbolized the day after September 11th, and the project's 9 principles and 12 values. The 9 principles and 12 values come from the principles of the founding fathers of this country. This is from their website. At the origin of America, our founding fathers built this country on 28 powerful principles. These principles were culled from all over the world and from centuries of great thinkers. We've distilled those original 28 down to 9 basic principles. And then the website listed those principles and the 12 values, and the 9 principles were: America is good, I believe in God, and He is the center of my life. I must always try to be a more honest person than I was yesterday. Family is sacred. My spouse and I are the ultimate authority, not the government. If you break the law, you pay the penalty. Justice is blind and no one is above it. I have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but there is no guarantee of equal results. I work hard for what I have, and I will share it with who I want to. Government cannot force me to be charitable. It is not un-American for me to disagree with authority or to share my personal opinion. And lastly, the government works for me. I do not answer to them, they answer to me. And the 12 values were honesty, reverence, hope, thrift, humility, charity, sincerity, moderation, hard work, courage, personal responsibility, and gratitude. So this was back during Glenn Beck's whole "We Surround Them" campaign, if you will. And was back when he had a caller on his show who called in and said, "It just feels like we're in the minority." And the whole message was, we're not. We're not in the minority. And I'm going to prove it to you. And that's how this whole movement got started. Unfortunately, and the movement's still going on. The movement's still going on among smaller groups of constitutionalist conservatives throughout the nation. I'm still an advocate for this movement. I still believe in it. But it's really quiet now, and that's really disappointing to me, because these are the principles and values. Constitutionalism is what conservatives and libertarians need to unite around. And it started off huge. And it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's not ended, but others may disagree. Started off huge with that Restoring Honor rally in Washington, D.C. I know we've talked about this on the program before, but we're talking about it again because we're going to look at all of this again. Because something happened over this past week that broke my heart. Really did. Restoring Honor, August 28th, 2010, at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Saw some numbers say 500,000, some numbers say 300,000, some numbers say almost 750,000. I'm leaning towards 750,000, mainly because of the pictures you see. An entire crowd, just an entire audience. And that's an understatement, saying audience. The entire National Mall was filled. I remember watching it too on, I think it was on C-SPAN or whatever, and I remember watching it. It was insane. Hundreds of thousands of speakers, we'll go with that. at least hitting 500,000. At least. You saw speakers and people gathering there like Marcus Luttrell, James Eddie Wright, John Huntsman Jr., the Black Robe Regiment, which was an envisioned grassroots effort to rally clergy to conservative American constitutionalist activism, and just general revival. And then you had speakers like Beck, you had speakers like Alveda King, who, for those of you that don't know, Alveda King is the niece of Martin Luther King Jr. Freedom Works, the Americans for Prosperity, and the 9/12 Project, and that's where it came from. This is where the 9/12 Project really got its launch. What's sad is that I look on their website today, and the 9/12 Project's website has been taken down. You go to their web address, and there's nothing but a GoDaddy link. You type in alternate forms of their web address, and the entire page is blank. To me, it feels like it's marking the end of an era, but at the same time, I feel like it's the beginning of an era. I'm so interested. For those of you that are regular listeners, I'm a college student at the University of Kansas, and boy, do I have a story out of the world of colleges here in the 21st century that is just going to blow your mind. Just going to blow your mind. Oh, boy. Here we go. So this thing I'm announcing, it's kind of in the planning stages still. But you see groups on campus like Young Americans for Freedom. You see groups on campus like Turning Point USA. You see groups on campus like Students for Concealed Carry, College Republicans. I don't identify with the Republican Party anymore, but the general principles in most of the college Republican groups of conservatism generally are still there. So anyway, you get the point. Next semester, the fall 2017 semester, the plan is to launch a 9/12 Project group at the University of Kansas, and I encourage, and again, this is still in the planning stages, I encourage other young conservatives, even if you're already part of other conservative-minded groups at your own colleges or universities, I encourage you, let's start something here. This could be the uniting fact. There's so many. I remember talking with some groups on campus about how some groups don't like to interact with other groups because there's just different beliefs, etc., etc. That's not what we should be doing as conservatives, right? As conservatives, we need to unite on the principles that we can't agree with. The 9/12 Project principles are the principles of conservatism. We should be able to unite under this tent. We should be able to unite under this. And so the goal of this project was kind of the goal of what it's always been. Except now, myself, I want to focus it on a college level. College students, especially college libertarians, I'm not even just going to say people that are necessarily politically affiliated are under attack. Even if you're a moderate, or if you describe yourself as a centrist, whatever that means, but anyway, if you describe yourself as a moderate or a centrist, but you say you're an advocate for free speech, you're likely still a target of leftist, of Antifa, on college campuses, or even if you're not a college student, we've seen what happened. We saw what happened in Berkeley, and it's still happening in Berkeley. We saw what happened on Inauguration Day for President Trump. So yeah, let's see what we can do with this. Let's see if we can revive the 9/12 Project. If there's conservatives on my own campus that aren't interested in being a part of the 9/12 Project, I completely understand. I completely understand. I take that back. I don't understand. The principles are there, the principles are right, and the principles are conservative principles. They're the exact kind of principles we need to instill in people, and the 912 Project was doing it right. It was about community outreach. It was about loving even those we disagree with, and it was about respecting the free speech of members of political groups that we disagree with. It was the movement, and it's quiet now. And in its place, we see the Trump movement. And I want to make it clear, right? I'm not against people who voted for Trump. I'm not really even against people who march for Trump. Because I think a lot of those people aren't marching for Trump. I think they're marching for the free speech advocacy side of it. You saw in Berkeley a lot of people, and we talked about this last week, we played audio clips of it last week, where a lot of people were saying stuff like, well, yeah, there's Trump supporters here, but I'm not really a Trump supporter. I just think free speech is a good thing. But then, right after that, and I saw this over on, I don't remember, it was like the Shuttershot YouTube channel, where you see these Trump supporters on one side of the road, a police line in the center of the road, and on the other side of the sidewalk you see Antifa, and they're both just yelling at each other. The Trump supporters have their bullhorns, and they're yelling stuff like, oh, deport illegals and stuff like that, which we'd agree with, and then you have Antifa saying stuff like, I'm not going to play the video because it's expletive-laced, and you would hear a bleep throughout the entire video. It's not worth it. But they basically said, there was one girl who went topless and she started yelling, go to hell, white devils, go to hell. Go to hell, white devils, bunch of pigs. And then the Trump supporters would yell back, deport illegals and you lost, stop being a snowflake and all. Cuck, stuff like that, whatever. Fine, I get it, right? I get it. But it's hard to say, but as much as Trumpism feels good, because hey, we won, we finally won. As good as that feels, at the same time, it's like Trump's not really fulfilling a lot of what his supporters said he would do and a lot of what he said he would do. I mean, does no one else see that? Is it just going to be the blind, oh, let's just follow Trump because he won, because he's the Republican in this mix? I freaking loved what I saw at the I want to tread lightly here. I loved what I saw from the right at the Berkeley protests. I love what I saw from the free speech advocates at the Berkeley protests. And I love what I saw from the conservative-minded people at the Berkeley protests. Because generally, for the most part, the free speech-minded folks, the small government-minded folks at the Berkeley protests, at the Battle of Berkeley, whatever you want to call it, were peaceful. And they only retaliated when Antifa started throwing bricks, when Antifa started throwing punches, and when Antifa started throwing M80s. For the most part, like 95 to 99% was in self-defense from the right side of the spectrum at the Berkeley protests. Love seeing that. Love seeing people unashamedly in the streets of California and in California city streets flying the American flag, flying the Gadsden flag, flying the thin blue line flag, unashamedly. It was great. It felt like an actual movement because it was based around principles. It was based around the principle that you have a right to say whatever you want to say in this country. You have a right to exist. We have a right to border security. We have a right to our guns. We have our constitutional rights. It was based around principles, and what bothers me about the when it's not a free speech rally, when it's not a free speech march, when it's not free speech advocacy, when it's just a Trump rally, it bothers me because we're not rallying around principles, we're rallying around a man, and a man who's not doing a lot of what he said he would do. And that's disappointing, and that's disappointing to see from conservatives. You want to fix America? You want to fix college campuses? You need principles, man. You need principles. And that doesn't mean like the whole personality of it doesn't change. That whole, Gavin McInnes calls it the punk rock conservatism movement or whatever, the Proud Boys movement. That doesn't mean that has to change. Pro-Western. I'm totally pro-Western. I love it. Islam is a terrible philosophy. It's a terrible ideology. It's evil. There's people trying to reform it, but it's still evil. Yes, we're on the same page. Illegal immigration is bad, and we need better immigration control. Other countries do it. Why can't we? Why is it racist when the United States does it? Oh my gosh, I wrote a paper on that today for one of my college classes, where they said that some American advocacy group for immigration control or something like that. I don't even remember the name of the group, but they were saying that, they're immigration control. It's kind of hate speech. Other countries do. Other countries are stricter than the United States on it. Mexico has stricter immigration laws than the United States. I think Canada even does. Oh, but no, when the United States does it, when the United States even suggests, maybe we should let people in that respect our laws. Maybe we should let people in who come here legally and not illegally. Maybe we should deport people who broke our laws and came here illegally and continue to break our laws while they're here illegally. No, you're a racist if you do that. No, you're not. No, you're not. And that's part of the reason that Trumpism is still continuing to flourish. That's something the left doesn't get. The entire reason you're losing is because you have no intellectual honesty. You're not being intellectually consistent. Now, to be fair, if the right was being intellectually consistent, a lot of people on the right wouldn't be excusing Trump of the things he's doing. Yes, there's never going to be a perfect presidential candidate, I got that, but can we at least get a constitutionalist that is about principles and not just winning to rub it in the face of leftists? I love seeing leftists lose just as much as the next guy. I love seeing Antifa lose just as much as the next guy. Why? Because Antifa are the real fascists. Leftists are the real people trying to destroy society as we know it, change society as we know it. Barack Obama even talked about the fundamental transformation of America. Yes, it's no secret. They want to change America away from what the Founding Fathers intended it to be, and away from what the Constitution says it is. But no, we're the racists. We're the bigots. We're the fascists. I don't think a lot of my peers know what fascism is. You see, in our world, in the free speech advocacy world, in the right wing's world, in the conservative-minded person's world, in the libertarian-minded person's world, in the small government-minded person's world, Antifa is allowed to exist. They're allowed to hold their rallies. They're allowed to give their free speech. They are allowed to exist and have the same rights as you and me. In their world, they want us dead. And they've said they want us dead on their forums, on their subreddits, whatever, man. They've said, guys, we should bring guns. We should arm ourselves. How's that not a threat? How's that not a terrorist organization? In our world, they exist. In their world, we're dead. Who's the real fascists?
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Hey, it's Ian Ballinger from the Freestater here on the Lanterns Radio Network. Now, most people listen to the show when it goes up every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time on Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, or even on your iPhone podcast app. But you can also listen to the show over at lanterns.buzz. That's lanterns.buzz, where the show plays on replay every weekday and weekend at 11 a.m. Central Time. Every day throughout the week, you can listen to the replay of the show on the lanterns.buzz radio stream. Aha! 11 a.m. Central Time and 3 a.m. in the morning. Just fantastic times. If you're driving out late, you can listen to the show. And if you're waking up in the morning, driving to work, going to lunch during work, whatever, show's available for you to listen to right there on replay. That's lanterns.buzz. And while you're over there, I encourage you to check out some of the other great shows that the Lanterns Radio Network has to offer. You've got Bells of Liberty, Todd Huff Radio, Battle for Freedom, Patriot Politics, Defenders of American Exceptionalism, The HoloNet, Fires of Liberty, Battlefield Live, The Conservative Syndicate, and many other special programs. You may have heard back during CPAC even, they did a huge live stream, continuous coverage of CPAC. Go to lanterns.buzz for great content. We're here to fix the machine. Lanterns.buzz. So, in the last segment, we were talking about how we're going to restart the 9/12 Project. And the reason I say restart is because I don't hear anyone talking about it anymore. I don't hear anyone in conservative media talking about it anymore. And I remember when it first started, the man who started the 9/12 Project himself, Glenn Beck of the Blaze TV, said himself that he wanted it to be local. He wanted it to be run by not himself, but by people throughout the country. Let's do it. I say let's do it. We need principled conservatism. We don't need Trumpism. And again, you can still have that personality there. You can still have that punk rock mentality there. I love it. It's awesome. It's kind of badass, to be honest. Let's do it, but can we have principles as the foundation of it instead of personality? I hope so. So anyway, one example on college campuses, and again, this goes back to, oh my gosh, we need legitimate conservative movements on college campuses to unite around common principles. YAF would love to do that with YAF, Young Americans for Freedom, would love to do that with TPUSA, would love to do that with Students for Concealed Carry, would love to do that with the Christian groups on campus. Need to have each other's backs, guys. Here's one of the reasons. University of Kansas, school I go to, published this in their whole, what's the word I'm looking for, in their KU Today email. Research shows prejudice, not principles, often underpins the free speech defense of racist language. Oh, here we go. Tell me, Mr. Researcher, tell me how I'm racist for saying that free speech, I defend free speech. Let's read the article. Two researchers at the University of Kansas, and I hate, let's unquote for a second, I absolutely hate what my college has devolved into. I don't like it, man. I mean, look, I'm just being completely honest with you. It makes me sick to my stomach to see the university that I love and grew up around since I was a kid say that, research shows that you're just prejudiced. You're likely defending racism if you defend free speech. Sorry, that's just... No, that's not the way it is. That's not what... These are not the cultural Marxism, right? Not what Kansas was founded on, not what the University of Kansas was founded on, and not what the city of Lawrence was founded on, to be completely frank with you. Okay, got that out of the way. Let's continue with the article. Before... I'm kind of like a Texan, I guess, when it comes to Kansas. I'm very, very happy about where I come from, and I really don't like it when lies infiltrate where I've come from. Let's continue. Two researchers at the University of Kansas have conducted a study suggesting that explicit racial prejudice is a reliable predictor of the free speech defense of racial expression. The paper, authored by Mark H. White, a graduate student in psychology, and Christian Crandall, a professor of psychology, appears online currently in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Ooh, that sounds pretty big. Oh, but who is Mark H. White? I don't know. Who is Mark H. White? Oh, Mark H. White is the guy that completely flipped out on KU's YAF group. In fact, if you go to Campus Reform right now, you will find Mark White talking about how YAF president at KU is a, quote, garbage human being mother effer. This is a graduate teaching assistant at the University of Kansas, saying that students who disagree with him at KU are garbage human beings mother effer. Can't wait to, and this is a quote from his tweet, this mother effer, referring to the former president of the University of Kansas YAF group. They had their elections, there's a new president. This mother effer even tweeting like Trump. Can't wait to see you walking on campus with that red armband. Mark White, a graduate teaching assistant at the University of Kansas, blasted Kansas student and Kansas Young Americans for Freedom president Gabriel Lipinski on Twitter Sunday night. This comes after Lipinski's YAF chapter was overrun by students last week. At the meeting held by the university's YAF chapter last Thursday, the students protesters shouted about alleged forms of oppression they claim to face on campus. He tweeted, over 2 days I gave my email to an SJW and asked them to email me laws at KU oppressing minorities. Nothing yet. I think that's a valid thing to bring up. There's what in Lawrence, Kansas, the heartland of America, what at the University of Kansas oppresses minorities? Please tell me. I've asked this before. No answer. Even on debates on Twitter, I asked this, but no answer ever. In fact, even questioning it makes you a racist. among the other states. So first of all, hold on. Mark White, the guy who KU is putting up and emailing to all their students. This was emailed in in the KU Today email to students, right? It was sent formally. This guy is calling students he disagrees with Nazis. I'm not here to make good arguments, White went on to say. I'm here to say, F you. F off my campus. Go study at Liberty University. I absolutely hate that. I was born here. I'm a native Kansan. Don't tell people like me. Don't tell people with my political affiliation, right? Don't tell people with the small government mindset, people who love this university with a passion, people who love this state with a passion, to F off. You, go study at Berkeley, whatever, fine. It's absolutely unbelievable. The guy deletes his Twitter account, and KU spokespersons did not respond to a request from Campus Reform for comment. It's unbelievable. So let's see what this guy has to say about how we're all racist, about how you're probably prejudiced if you support free speech. Let's just see what we got here. I can't believe he's still at KU. So this is his claim. When people make appeals to democratic principles like freedom of speech, they don't always represent a genuine interest in that principle. We think of principles as ideas we use to guide behavior in our everyday lives. Our data shows something different. A spoiler alert, it doesn't. But let's continue. We tend to make up our mind on something based on our attitudes, in this case, racial attitudes, and then we decide if that principle is relevant or irrelevant. The new study reveals a positive correlation between having racial prejudice and defending racist speech using the free speech argument. A stronger correlation than the researchers expected. What's the correlation? 0.43. Now, not being a stats teacher, right? I didn't know what R equals 0.43 meant. Somebody brought that to light for me. What it means is that it's referencing the strength of a linear trend line to match data. So, for example, R of 0 means it's totally random. R of 1 means every data point is on the trend line. So R 0.43 would indicate that more than half of the cases you've studied here, right? More than half of your data points are completely random. There's no correlation. So according to this guy, friend of mine, no good stats teacher lets you make correlation claims if R is under 0.75, especially not one under 0.5. This one is under 0.5. There's no correlation there. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But that's what you're dealing with on college campuses. And here's the thing, right? That's just sent out in an email. Students see the headline. And again, this is what you're dealing with on college campuses, right? Students see a headline. A lot of people don't read entire articles. Most people just see a headline. So what do students think when they see the headline? Research shows prejudice, not principle, often underpins free speech defense of racist language. People think, that's crazy. So racists are most likely to defend free speech. No, read the article. That's not what it says at all. But they went with it anyway. It's insane. It's insane, and they're going with it. Let's look at other just common sense attacks on college campuses. Residential advisors, this is from Campus Reform, residential advisors at an on-campus apartment complex at California Polytechnic University handed out instructions for avoiding cultural appropriation on Cinco de Mayo. The flyers, which were handed out door to door, prominently featured two photographs, one depicting a Cinco de Mayo parade and the other showing college students with similar headgear under the caption, "Wearing a sombrero is not culturally appropriate. I will wear whatever I want. I am an American." And isn't that what? Okay, time out, man. Hold on. This whole cultural appropriation thing is complete bullcrap. Let's break down why. All of society is based on cultural appropriation, if we're going to use that standard. Like, is that not the foundation of society? I think Ben Shapiro even said something like that, right? Let's see if we can find that audio clip. Yeah, here it is.
Choosing from different cultures, it turns out that civilization itself is culturally appropriated in its various forms. Democracy is created by certain cultures and then appropriated by others, and that's a good thing. You want good things to spread. What makes life better is culturally appropriating things from other places that are good and ignoring things from other cultures that are bad.
Yeah, okay, so what exactly is wrong with that? Isn't that what leftists wanted, that whole melting pot thing? Well, okay, here's a melting pot, but you can't participate in it if you're a certain race. No, that's not how we do things in America. I'm not going to be shamed for having Western values. I'm not going to be shamed for liking something about your culture. Is it cultural appropriation if I like Mexican food? I'm sure they would say yes, but whatever. So here's what they're saying. Below the pictures, the flyer provides a list of do's and don'ts for the holiday, recommending that celebrators not wear sombreros, fake mustaches, or a serape, and that they abstain from calling their parties Cinco de Drinko. It also asks students to Cinco de Drinko. It also asks students to avoid perpetuating harmful stereotypes and using Spanish disrespectfully. What does this even mean? Specifically advising that they not visit party stores for accessories. What? Oh my gosh, we live in the most babied country in the world. Hold your friends accountable, it continues. Be respectful if someone calls you out for being disrespectful. Is anyone calling countries that make fun of America out? No, because Americans don't care. We move on. Somebody makes fun of our culture, we move on. It then encourages students to learn about Mexican Americans in the U.S., suggesting that they read a classic Mexican novel. I'll read whatever I want. If I want to read a classic Mexican novel, I will. I don't think universities get it. Here's another one. Gonzaga University tells students that Cinco de Mayo parties are racist. Funny that this is all coming from California, by the way. It seems as if college administrators are becoming real-life versions of Buzz Killington from Family Guy, writes Elliot Hamilton from the Daily Wire. I encourage you to go check this article out. Every time college students wish to embark on some amount of mostly innocuous debauchery, administrators decide to inconvenience students' lives and remind them that anything, if not everything they do, could be offensive. Oh my God, I'm going to unquote for a second here. Let's just talk for a second, guys. You are taught that. I've been taught I can't think of the last year, other than high school, but that's because it was in a small town. You are brainwashed practically that you're just a terrible person and everything you do might be offensive in college. It's ridiculous, man. College needs so much reform. It is crazy, man. So anyway, here's what the vice president for student development at Gonzaga University's, his name is Judy Biggs Garbuello. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. And this is what he sent out in the following email. Tomorrow, Friday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, is a holiday that celebrates the date of the Mexican Army's 1862 victory over France at the Battle of Puebla during the Franco-Mexican War, 1861 through 1867. This is a relatively minor holiday in Mexico. However, in the United States, Cinco de Mayo has evolved into a commemoration of Mexican culture and heritage, particularly in areas with large Mexican-American populations. Unfortunately, the celebrations have become less about the appreciation of Mexican heritage, and instead has become more about drinking and partying, especially by non-Mexican individuals. You mean to tell me that non-Mexicans are participating in a Mexican holiday? Kind of like how non-Americans participate in the 4th of July? Ah! Because of this, back to quoting, sorry. Because of this, there are many instances when Cinco de Mayo becomes a holiday that is full of cultural appropriation. At some college campuses, including our own, students create theme parties or dress in costumes that are insensitive and offensive to the Mexican Americans and more broadly the Latinx culture. I encourage you to check out the UMEC Facebook page that provides some alternative ways to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. However, I'm reading it this way because it's in bold. If you decide to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, think about what you are doing. Your actions can be hurtful to members of the Gonzaga community. I encourage you to remember the values of inclusion and commitment to diversity that our institution holds. Oh, yes, you're committed to diversity unless you celebrate a holiday in the quote-unquote wrong way. Please remember that there is an enormous difference between appreciating Mexican culture and appropriating it. Why don't you tell us what the difference is? I think people, if they're drinking and having a good time on your holiday, appreciate it pretty well. Is it because they're not all Mexican? I mean, yeah, you said it yourself. Non-Mexican individuals, is it because they're white? What's the reason that it's cultural appropriation? So I don't mean to get all heated, but for gosh sakes, man. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So Ben McDonald, a freshman at Gonzaga, wrote that the alternatives to celebrating Cinco de Mayo, he wrote this in Red Alert, included reading a classic Mexican novel. Oh, okay, don't party, don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo with some of your Hispanic friends. Don't celebrate it with them. Go read a classic Mexican novel. Don't wear a sombrero. Oh, so this is how you celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Don't wear a sombrero. That's their criteria for an alternative way to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Don't wear a sombrero. Oh, well, I don't do that every day. I guess I'm celebrating Cinco de Mayo every day. Thank you, Gonzaga University. So basically, if you're having any fun, you're probably a racist. And you should stop doing what you're doing now. That's from the Ben McDonald article. If you're having any kind of fun with your friends, you're probably racist, and you should stop doing what you're doing immediately. Yep, that seems pretty par for the course for California. We'll be right back with our last segment for the week. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Freestater on the Lanterns Radio Network.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Hey, it's Ian Ballinger from the Freestater here on the Lanterns Radio Network. Now, most people listen to the show when it goes up every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time on Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, or even on your iPhone podcast app. But you can also listen to the show over at lanterns.buzz. That's lanterns.buzz, where the show plays on replay every weekday and weekend at 11 a.m. Central Time. Every day throughout the week, you can listen to the replay of the show on the lanterns.buzz radio stream. Aha! 11 a.m. Central Time and 3 a.m. in the morning. Just fantastic times. If you're driving out late, you can listen to the show. And if you're waking up in the morning, driving to work, going to lunch during work, whatever, show's available for you to listen to right there on replay. That's lanterns.buzz. And while you're over there, I encourage you to check out some of the other great shows that the Lanterns Radio Network has to offer. You've got Bells of Liberty, Todd Huff Radio, Battle for Freedom, Patriot Politics, Defenders of American Exceptionalism, The HoloNet, Fires of Liberty, Battlefield Live, The Conservative Syndicate, and many other special programs. You may have heard back during CPAC even, they did a huge live stream, continuous coverage of CPAC. Go to lanterns.buzz for great content. We're here to fix the machine. Lanterns.buzz.
Welcome, Kmart shoppers. Kmart has low discount prescription prices. Visit our pharmacist today and compare our prices to what you're presently paying elsewhere.
You'll be glad you did.
The last segment of the show, we just got a few minutes left, in being told that I'm a racist in any instance, and I can't help it as a white cis male, and that I just need to accept it. And being told that no matter what I do, I'm probably culturally appropriating somebody else's culture, my mood just shifts from just carefree and happy to this.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out.
It just breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart. Every single time.
You on kazoo.
No, you're not. You're on cultural appropriation. You sick son of a gun.
You know what? I think we're gonna be friends.
Special friends.
And when I'm with friends, I like to have fun. I like to sing, dance, pretend, and kazoo.
No! Kazoo was started by... It was made by an African American. You, Kazoo Kid, from You on Kazoo, the popular internet meme. I'm spelling this out in case you're out of the loop. It's okay though, because, memes. You, Kazoo Kid, are culturally appropriating African culture by playing that kazoo. No!
Just kazoo it!
Wow. Just kazoo it. Never have I heard more racist words, and never do I want to again. This has been the Freestater. I'm Ian Ballinger. Thank you for listening here on the Lanterns Radio Network.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.